42 সাধারণ একটি সংখ্যা, কিন্তু পৃথিবীর কোথাও যখন কোনো বড় ঘটনা ঘটে, কোনো যুদ্ধ, কোনো বোমা হামলা, কোনো গোলাগুলির খবর আসে, ঠিক তখনই অদ্ভুতভাবে এই 42 সংখ্যাটা শিরোনামে খবরে আসে। ইন্টারনেটে কোনো এক আর্কাইভ থেকে উদ্ধার করা একটি ডিলিট হয়ে যাওয়া ভিডিওতে এই অদ্ভুত প্যাটার্নটি প্রথম তুলে ধরা হয়েছিল। ইউটিউব থেকে ভিডিওটি ডিলিট করা হয়েছে, কিন্তু সেখানে দেখানো প্রমাণগুলো অবাক করার মতো। সিরিয়ার বোমা হামলা থেকে শুরু করে ইরাক, লিবিয়া, এমনকি আমেরিকার শিকাগো রাস্তায় গোলাগুলির খবর, সবখানে নিহত বা আহতের সংখ্যা হিসাবে এই 42 সংখ্যাটিকে বারবার ব্যবহার করতে দেখা গেছে নিউজ মিডিয়াগুলোতে। শুধু তাই নয়, এর সাথে 21 এবং 84 মতো সংখ্যাগুলোর একটি অদ্ভুত জ্ঞানিতিক হিসাবও দেখানো হয়েছে এই ভিডিওতে। প্রশ্ন হলো, বিশ্বের এত প্রান্তে এত আলাদা ঘটনায় হতাহতের সংখ্যা বারবার 42 হয় কীভাবে? এটি কি শুধুই কাকতালীয়, নাকি কোনো নির্দিষ্ট এজেন্ডা বা গুপ্ত সংস্থাকে প্রমোট করার জন্য এই সংখ্যাটি বা এই সংকেতকে ব্যবহার করে? মুছে ফেলায় সেই ভিডিওতে আসলে কি দাবি করা হয়েছিল এবং কি দেখানো হয়েছিল, চলুন আপনাদের সাথে দেখানো যাক।
Hey folks, Changing Reason here. I've got a relatively short video for you today, for a change. And while numerology is not my area of expertise, today's topic is numbers, or more to the point, a specific number, 42. Now, I'm aware that this is a number of significance. A YouTube search comes back with scores of videos discussing the number 42. I'm also aware that it is the answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything. But today I'd like to briefly point out just how often this number turns up in current events, particularly with respect to casualties. While working on my previous Pulse nightclub shooting video, I found that very early reporting put the casualty count at 20 dead and 42 wounded. This struck me because I'd seen the number 42 associated with a couple other recent high-profile events. The June 28th suicide bombing hoax at Ataturk Airport in Istanbul supposedly left 42 dead. The other, also in Turkey, was a July 15th coup d'etat attempt, also fake, staged by the Erdogan regime. 42 were reported killed in Ankara. This piqued my interest, so I kept looking. Here are the highlights of what I found. On June 29th, a suicide bombing in Yemen killed 42. And while researching this event, I found a September 1st report that 42 people were killed also in Yemen in fighting between government forces and rebel fighters. On July 27th, 42 were reportedly killed by a car bomb in Syria's Al-Hasaka city near the Turkish border. Just 2 days earlier, on July 25th, it was reported that 42 people had been killed in Syrian government attacks. Other recent headlines from Syria include August 13th, 42 killed in raids by Syrian army and Russia. August 10th, ISIS kills 42 regime troops and militants in eastern Homs. June 5th, 42 killed during clashes around Menbiz city. June 1st, 42 civilians killed by airstrikes in northern Syria. And while not a casualty count, we have this interesting August 19th headline. 42 explosive barrels hit Daria city. And here are a few other older stories of note out of Syria. November 6, 2015. Russian airstrikes kill 42 in Islamic State-held Raqqa. September 22, 2014. Syrian airstrikes kill 42, including 16 children. December 23, 2013. Syrian helicopter bomb raids kill 42 in Aleppo. Now, let's take a look at some recent events out of Iraq. April 30. At least 21 killed, 42 injured as ISIS car bomb targets Shiite market near Baghdad. When I see a combination like this, 21 and 42, I can't help but feel I'm being laughed at. March 23rd, 42 Daesh militants killed, wounded by Iraq's forces during heavy battles north of Fallujah. February 15th, operation to reclaim Baghdad suburb begins. 42 killed. January 25th, Baghdad operations announces killing 42 terrorists and dismantling 73 IEDs. I can't help but point out that 7 times 3 is 21. And here are a handful of older headlines out of Iraq. October 28, 2014, at least 42 killed in bombings across Iraq. June 24, 2013, series of bomb attacks in Iraq kill at least 42. August 4, 2010, 42 killed in Iraq attacks as Qaeda plants flag. And remember when the United States accidentally bombed an Iraqi wedding party back in 2004? It was a pretty big deal at the time. Remember how many were killed? Yep, 42. And speaking of poorly chosen targets, in December of 2015, it was reported that the U.S. mistakenly bombed a hospital in Afghanistan earlier that year, killing 42. And speaking of hospitals, on August 8th of this year, 42 died in a hospital bombing in southwestern Pakistan. And here's one more, keeping with the killing the wrong people theme. March 16th, 2016, evidence mounts that U.S. airstrikes on ISIS in Libya killed Serbian diplomats. If we work our way into the body of this article, we find that 42 died in said airstrike. This leads us to a couple of other headlines out of Libya. February 20, 2015. Triple bombings kill at least 42 in eastern Libya, attacks claimed by Islamic State. The article notes that these militants, loyal to the Islamic State, had previously killed 21 captive Egyptian Christians. There's that 21-42 combo again. Then, just 3 days later, on February 23, 2015, it was reported that 42 people were killed in Egyptian airstrikes within the Libyan city of Derna on February 16th. And here's a bonus fun fact before we move on from Libya. Muammar Gaddafi ruled Libya for, you guessed it, 42 years. Out of Nigeria, we have this headline from July 21st of this year. 42 Boko Haram terrorists killed, 38 women and 42 children held captives were rescued. And out of Kashmir, we have this July 17th headline. One more civilian killed in Kashmir violence. Death toll reaches 42. And here's an interesting trio of articles. It seems 2015 was a bad year for buses. On March 12, 2015, a bus and a truck collided in Tanzania, killing 42. Then, on October 23, 2015, a bus transporting elderly sightseers collided with a truck in French wine country, killing 42. And finally, on December 15, 2015, a bus carrying Argentine police officers went off the road and crashed into a ravine. 42 died. In Chicago, when it comes to gun violence, we see the number 42 all over the place. Here's a headline from January 28th. 2016 off to a bloody start as shootings double. 42 people killed, 210 hurt. All we need to do is drop a zero, and we've got another 42-21 combo. June 11th, 2016. 7 killed, 42 wounded in weekend shootings across Chicago. June 20th, 2016. 13 killed, at least 42 injured in weekend shootings across Chicago. July 17th, 2016. 5 killed, 42 wounded in Chicago weekend gun violence. And in this article dated July 5th, 2016, it's reported that over the 4th of July weekend, there were 42 separate shootings. And here's one more out of the Windy City from August 30 of this year. August, Chicago's most violent month, with 84 killed. Nope, not 42, but 42 times 2. And we've seen the number 84 very recently. 84 were reportedly killed in the demonstrably hoaxed terrorist attack in Nice, France on July 14th. That day, it was reported that of the hundreds injured, 42 were in critical condition. And there are plenty more examples to be found, but I think I've made my point. Now, I anticipate that someone will claim that these sorts of results can be found for any number, but this is simply not the case. I tried it. Of course, results are going to come back for any number you input, but not in anywhere near the frequency you see with 42. Keep in mind also that the majority of the instances discussed here are from this year alone. But it's not just a matter of frequency, is it? What we see here is example after example of directly related or otherwise strikingly similar events, many of which being very high profile, sharing this number. To call this mere coincidence is to be deliberately obtuse. And while I haven't done the necessary research to characterize every event we've just documented as a hoax, false flag, or fabrication, I'm reasonably confident that most of them indeed are, and I believe that this number is being used as a marker of some kind, a wink and a nod, if you will, transmitting to the appropriate parties that this or that event is a part of the program, whatever that program may be. Of course, the number 42 is likely not the only marker used to distinguish managed or manufactured events from the real ones, or to otherwise convey certain types of information via media reports, but it seems, to me at least, to be the most blatant one. So let's keep our eyes open. We will likely see 42 in the news again real soon.